I'd also like to introduce our ranger on duty tonight with us, Tom Holbrook. Very seasoned, excellent ranger over at Gettysburg National Military Park. Thank you, Tom, for being here this evening. And I'd also like to introduce Wendy Ellen. She's the president of the Lincoln Fellowship and the founder of this program, 100 Nights at Taps Gettysburg. And finally, introduction, Sandy Tuscan is a life member of the Lincoln Fellowship of Pennsylvania and the photographer for 100 Nights at Taps. This evening, we walked through this beautiful national cemetery, guided by pathways that brought us here to Soldiers National Monument. While walking along the pathways, you were surrounded by the graves of fallen heroes and their enduring stories of sacrifice, sorrow, as well as extraordinary bravery. And those same pathways converge here to the place where in 1863, President Abraham Lincoln delivered the Gettysburg Address, one of the greatest speeches of all time. Gettysburg National Cemetery's pathways are America's enduring pathways that guide us to our history. And our Enduring Pathway segment is our educational component of the program. And tonight I'm going to do a brief Enduring Pathway concerning Soldiers National Monument behind us here, this beautiful monument. This monument honors the fallen Union soldiers of the Battle of Gettysburg and tells an allegory of peace and plenty under freedom following a heroic struggle. It's the first monument constructed on the battlefield. Its cornerstone was laid on July 4th, 1865, and a dedication ceremony was held on July 1st, 1869. It included a ceremony. One of the speakers was General George G. Meade. Now the monument itself, at the very top is the statue, the Genius of Liberty, she's called. She stands atop the 60-foot column. She holds a sword in one hand, sword of triumph, and a wreath of peace in the other hand. It represents the constant struggle for freedom. Down below on the column, you see 18 bronze stars. Each star represents a state whose citizens fought in the Union Army during the Civil War. At the sides of this pedestal are four marble statues. To my right here, the soldier, the Union Civil War soldier, represents war. He's recounting the story of the Battle of Gettysburg to Cleo over here, who's Cleo, the muse of history. And with a stylus and tablet, she writes the story of the battle and records the names of the fallen dead. On the back, behind the Union soldier, is a man dressed in work clothes holding a mallet. He represents peace. And then behind Cleo is a woman holding a sheaf of wheat. She represents plenty, peace, and the final triumph of the soldiers' struggle. Now this monument is notable as being near the location of the platform where President Lincoln delivered the Gettysburg Address, but it's only a symbolic place. There was a flagpole at the location of the monument when Lincoln gave the address. He actually stood behind there. We now place him right on this side of the fence from the Evergreen Cemetery. Once again, we are honored to welcome Greg Murphy, tonight's bugler. Greg has sounded taps at over 1,000 military funerals with honors and veteran ceremonies. He honed his playing skills in his marching band days as a member of the Clifton High School Mustang Band, New Jersey. He is a 21-year member of Bugles across America, New Jersey, and Florida, and is Assistant New Jersey State Director of Bugles across America. He plays trumpet with the Tri-County Symphonic Band of New Jersey, the Boynton Beach, Florida Gold Coast City Band, and the original Hobo Band of Pittman, New Jersey. Thank you again, Craig. We meet here in Gettysburg National Cemetery, so we shall never forget our brave American veterans. We remain steadfast in our dedication to the great unfinished work which those who fought here as well as in many foreign lands so nobly advanced. And we honor that they gave the last full measure of devotion so that this nation, under God, shall have a new birth of freedom and the government of the people, by the people, for the people, shall not perish from the earth. Keeping with the tradition begun 2 years ago, we'd started honoring one soldier buried here in Gettysburg National Cemetery, and we had placed his image on a commemorative coin, which we awarded to our buglers and other participants. This year we're honoring the unknown soldier, and we placed a representative, Wendy, the coin. Thank you. We placed the representative image of an unknown soldier on the coin. Wendy has a blown up of the coin so you can see that. Now this unknown soldier we represent now every evening represents all the soldiers buried here at Gettysburg National Cemetery. Of the 3,354 bodies buried in the cemetery, 900 of them lie here without a known name or without a known state of origin. These soldiers can be found in sections 1 over here, 14, and 22 to my left over here. However, not all unknown soldiers are buried in the unknown sections. If a soldier was found on the field and he had some insignia perhaps on his uniform or something else that identified him with a state, he was buried in that state section as an unknown. Now, with 40% of the Union Army's dead perished without names at the war's end, the work of locating the missing and naming the tens of thousands of men designated as unknown would prove one of the war's most difficult tasks. This evening we're honoring the soldier buried over here in the unknown section on stone number 16, where we planted a small flag over there if you'd like to go by and pay your respects at the end of the ceremony this evening. I'd like to award the coin to Craig. Thank you, sir. Well, we sound taps here every evening at 7 p.m. Please join us again if you can. Also, please join us here on November 19th for the annual Dedication Day ceremony. The Lincoln Fellowship of Pennsylvania co-sponsors the commemoration of President Lincoln's Gettysburg Address and the dedication of the cemetery with a program that includes a wreath-laying ceremony, music, speakers. We also have a U.S. naturalization and citizenship ceremony so we can celebrate together as Americans while we welcome a new group of citizens. In honor of the 60th anniversary of the centennial commemoration of the Gettysburg Address, this year's keynote speaker will be Susan Eisenhower, the granddaughter of General Eisenhower. She's a great speaker. We're very pleased that she'll be joining us this year. You may recall that General Eisenhower was the keynote speaker here at Dedication Day in 1963. He wasn't the first choice that year for the fellowship, invited President Kennedy. He chose to go to Dallas that November. Also, we're excited to announce that Emmy-nominated actor Graham Sibley will also join us on the rostrum. He will present the Gettysburg Address. Also on the rostrum, we're pleased to have Lincoln scholars Doris Kearns Goodwin and Harold Holzer will be here this year as well. And we're also planning, and finally that day, a tribute to opera singer and civil rights pioneer Marian Anderson, who had performed at the invitation of General Eisenhower in 1963. If you haven't already, then we also encourage you to visit the David Wheels House downtown on the square. You'll find, what days are they open out, Tom? Thursday through Sunday. If you'd like to visit David Wheels House, you'll find a ranger down there on duty who will give you information. That's the place where President Lincoln put the finishing touches on the Gettysburg Address. The speech, of course, that transformed Gettysburg from a place of death and devastation to the symbol of our nation's new birth of freedom. And finally this evening, before we close the program, we'd like to invite any active duty military, veterans, guardsmen or women, or reservists to please come up and stand with us so you can be recognized.